Some people move through their entire lives feeling like they never quite fit in a room. Not because they're broken. Not because something went wrong with them. But because something went different with them. And if you've spent years wondering why friendships never seem to come as easily for you as they appear to for everyone else, if you've watched people effortlessly connect at parties while you stood there feeling oddly detached, if you've tried, genuinely tried, and still ended up alone more often than not, this video might be the explanation you've been waiting for. Because here's what nobody tells you. The same qualities that make deep connection harder to find are often the exact qualities that make you unusually rare as a person. And rare things are almost never easy to collect. Let's talk about what's actually going on inside you. The first trait is this: you process depth before you process small talk. And in a world built almost entirely on small talk, that's a quiet disadvantage that almost nobody sees. Most people can float comfortably on the surface of a conversation. How was your weekend? Did you see the game? Can you believe this weather? These exchanges feel normal to them because they serve a social function. They're not really about information, they're about belonging, about warmth, about signaling that you're safe to be around. But for you, small talk feels like eating air. You're going through the motions, smiling at the right moments, but nothing inside you is being fed. You want to skip the pleasantries and get to something real, what someone is actually afraid of, what they dream about, what changed them. And because most people aren't ready for that kind of conversation with a near stranger, you walk away from social situations feeling lonelier than when you walked in. And that preference quietly filters out a huge portion of the population before a real friendship even has a chance to start. You're not hard to talk to. You're hard to talk to shallowly. And that's a very different thing. The second trait is that your standards aren't high, they're just honest. And honest standards are rare enough to be isolating. You've probably been told at some point that you're too picky about the people in your life. That you should just give people a chance. And you've tried that. You've forced yourself to spend time with people you felt nothing in common with, and you've come home more exhausted than before. What most people don't realize is that not everyone needs the same level of connection to feel satisfied. Some people can maintain a dozen casual friendships and feel completely full. You probably can't. You need fewer, deeper, more reciprocal bonds, and anything less doesn't just feel unsatisfying, it actually drains you. Psychologists sometimes describe this through the lens of what's called relational depth, the idea that people differ in how much emotional intimacy they need before a relationship feels real to them. For some, a coffee and a laugh is enough. For you, you need to actually know someone. And you need to feel known back. This isn't a flaw in your wiring. It's just a higher threshold. And higher thresholds mean longer waits. That's lonely, but it also means that when you do find someone who meets you there, the friendship is unlike anything most people experience. You don't need more people. You need the right ones. And there's nothing wrong with knowing the difference. The third trait might surprise you. You are unusually good at reading people. And that skill, as useful as it sounds, often makes it harder to get close to them. When you walk into a room, your mind is doing something most minds aren't. It's registering subtle emotional signals. The slight tension in someone's voice. The way a smile doesn't quite reach the eyes. The topic someone keeps circling back to without ever saying directly. You notice all of it, often without trying. Psychologists sometimes connect this to something called hypervigilance, a state where the mind becomes highly attuned to social and emotional cues because it learned early on that small signals matter. It's often developed in childhood, in environments where you had to read the room carefully to navigate safely. The consequence is that you often know things about people, their discomfort, their inauthenticity, their hidden pain, before a relationship is anywhere near deep enough to address those things. And that gap, between what you sense and what you're allowed to say, can make every social interaction feel slightly performative. You're watching the movie of social life with subtitles nobody else can see, and it's exhausting to pretend you can't read them. You see people clearly. And being truly seen in return is the one thing you want most and find hardest to find. The fourth trait is this: You value solitude in a way that most people around you genuinely don't understand. This one often gets misread, even by you. You might have internalized the idea that needing alone time means something is wrong with you socially. That if you were healthier, happier, more normal, you'd want to be around people more. But solitude and loneliness are completely different experiences. Loneliness is the ache of unwanted isolation. Solitude is the quiet restoration of spending time inside your own mind, and for certain people, it isn't just pleasurable, it's necessary. If you're someone whose inner world is rich, someone who thinks in layers, who processes emotions long after experiences end, who finds creative or philosophical meaning in quiet moments, then you require more alone time than average to function well. That's not isolation. That's maintenance. The challenge is that a life built around significant solitude naturally limits the time and energy available for the volume of socializing that most friendships require to stay alive. And so friendships drift. Not because you don't care, but because you're living at a different pace and rhythm than most people around you. Your need for solitude isn't a wall. It's a doorway, but only the right people will understand that it opens inward. The fifth trait brings everything together. You would rather have no one than have the wrong person. And that decision, quiet, firm, and often misunderstood, changes the entire shape of your social life. Most people tolerate a certain amount of misalignment in their friendships because the alternative feels worse. The fear of being alone is strong enough to keep them in relationships that don't really fit. But you've made a different calculation. Maybe you've done it consciously, maybe you've done it instinctively, but somewhere along the way you decided that the discomfort of an honest friendship was worth more than the comfort of a convenient one. That you'd rather sit alone on a Friday night with your own thoughts than spend it pretending to be something you're not for someone who doesn't really see you anyway. That's not antisocial. That's a deep form of self-respect. It's also, quietly, painfully, the thing that makes your life lonelier in the short term and richer in the long term. Because the friends you do allow in aren't fillers. They're chosen. They're real. And that matters more than the number ever could. So here's what I want to leave you with. If you have few friends, or no close friends right now, the most likely explanation isn't that you're broken or unlikable or fundamentally flawed. The most likely explanation is that you experience connection differently than most people do. You need more depth, more honesty, more mutual recognition before something feels real to you. And that's not a defect. It's a particular kind of emotional intelligence that comes with a particular kind of cost. You are not too much. You are not too little. You are too specific, and specific things take longer to find their match. The loneliness is real. I'm not minimizing that. But the reason for it is not that something went wrong with you. The reason is that you've been looking for something genuinely rare, and rare things don't appear on every shelf. If any of this felt like someone finally said something true about you, if you recognized yourself somewhere in these 5 traits, drop it in the comments. Tell me which one hit hardest. Because you might be surprised how many people who feel alone are actually feeling exactly the same thing. And if this kind of conversation, the kind that actually goes somewhere, is what you're looking for, you know what to do.